There is a lot going on in the metaverse right now. It's exploding. Everybody's talking about it. There's land being purchased all over the place. There's a lot of noise too. And to figure out what's going to be good in the metaverse for your business, I've started this segment I'm going to put out every single month called Metaverse Monthly. We're going to go into the biggest stories of that month to talk about what's really important from a business perspective and really what things that you probably don't need to worry about. So we're getting that started today. My name is Trent Kennelly. I'm a marketing strategist, and on this channel, I talk about all the things that you can do to improve your business through marketing, sales, and analytics. So if that sounds good to you and you're excited, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you're into it, comment and let me know what you're excited about in the metaverse. I would love to know, and let's get started. So the first news item this month is that Wal Mart is entering the metaverse. So Wal Mart has entered trademarks for its own cryptocurrency and NFT collection. So it's said that it intends to start buying and selling virtual goods. This isn't really a surprise when you consider their introduction to Walmart VR some 3 years ago now. This was an experience for South by Southwest where users could walk around in a virtual Walmart. They could pick up items, they could see prices and comparisons and that sort of stuff. It was a little bit gimmicky, lots of people made fun of it, but the important thing then and now is the buy-in that we're seeing from some of these big companies like Walmart. This adds a lot of legitimacy and longevity on a fledgling field like VR, and it is still a fledgling field. So there's no word yet on whether they're planning to enter through Decentraland or Somnium Space or through the Metaverse or something else, but if I had to guess, it's either Meta's Metaverse, where Horizon Worlds is going to be released or has been released in the US and Canada, or on Decentraland, since those are really the biggest players right now. Next, let's talk about the Consumer Electronics Show 2022, or CES. This was a huge event. It's always a huge deal to see all the new technology that's coming out, but this year the metaverse showed up in full force. And it went so far beyond gaming into lots of ways that business can be done, that we can live in a different environment. So a great example here is from Hyundai. Hyundai showcased a series of these Boston Dynamics looking dog robots that would be in different places. So in the example they gave, there was one of those robots that was on the surface of Mars, and a father and daughter were cruising through some urban city on a self-driving car, and they decided that they wanted to see themselves on the surface of Mars. So they picked their avatars, and this robot projected them onto the surface of Mars as it was at that moment. So they were moving through this digital space to be in a physical environment in a different way, okay? Samsung also announced their next generation TVs are going to be compatible with NFTs. So you're going to be able to buy them, you're going to be able to learn about them, you're going to be able to shop right through the TV. So it's very interesting to see all of these different ways that we're stretching this idea of the metaverse and adapting all sorts of different technology to it. I think this is a really interesting perspective here. Next, NFTs took a bit of a hit recently when South Korea banned play-to-earn games. So a play-to-earn game expects the player to start before they can even play by purchasing an NFT avatar, and then they can use that NFT avatar to earn prizes by playing the game itself, okay? So it seems like the reason that they did this is because cash prizes in games need to be limited to a few bucks USD, not a whole lot of money. I want to say it was like 1,000 or 10,000 won, which is really not that much. It came out to around $9 USD. So aside from the general gambling issue there, which is a problem with loot boxes and giveaways in games in general, they also seem to have a particular concern here with how excited the NFT market is right now, and they don't really want to encourage too many kids to get involved in that. So we're going to see what the long-term effects are, but because this is only based on specifically these games, it's not really probably going to be very huge. So we'll just have to see what happens. All right, now let's talk about the state of the metaverse, where we run through each of the big metaverses and see if there's any news from them. So let's start with Meta themselves. Meta is facing yet another FTC investigation. This one's been joined by several states, and this time they're being investigated for unfair trade practices. So the belief of a lot of third-party developers that work through the Oculus platform is that Meta is making it harder to find and access those third-party apps in the App Store if the apps have similar features to something that Meta is going to have or currently does have. So the argument is that when Facebook has or wants to have a feature, they start to bully the third-party app to get rid of their competing modules. Great example here, The Verge recently detailed how Virtual Desktop had a way to play PC games through their VR app, but Facebook/Meta allegedly forced the functionality off of that app because they wanted to do something similar directly and natively through the Oculus platform. So effectively, we're seeing more of the same from Meta. They have this track record of bullying companies that they view as being in the way of Meta's success, so that's going to be something to keep an eye on as it continues in the future. Now that said, the other concern with Meta here is the pricing of the headset. So it's pretty well known that they charge significantly less than any other VR headset on the market today, and there seems to be a growing concern that this is an unfair practice. A lot of people in the industry have said that it's pretty clear that the headset is a loss leader and that it's subsidized by ad revenue. That's what a lot of people are saying, meaning that the ads platform is supporting the headset. This isn't inherently illegal, but certain price chopping measures could be seen as anti-competitive. And this is going to be really interesting to watch, because if this does come out to be the case and they have to increase the price, that changes the accessibility of the metaverse generally for most people. So that might kind of change the landscape for a little while. Next, let's talk about Second Life. Yes, Second Life, it's time to talk about them again, because Philip Rosedale, the CEO back in the late 90s, early 2000s, that really helped to launch Second Life and bring it to its height of popularity, is coming back to Linden Labs, which is the creator of Second Life, okay? And Rosedale is really excited about the metaverse, but in a different way. So he sees a lot of the possibilities that were there before, and he sees the chance to bring them to life. But he is very outspoken about his distaste of Bitcoin mining and ad-driven social spaces. So he doesn't like all of the cryptocurrency mining that's out there today, which speaks directly to a lot of those metaverses like Decentraland and like Somnium Space, etc. But he also doesn't like ad-driven social spaces, so that speaks to your corporate overlord Mark Zuckerberg and Meta the Metaverse, okay? So it's really going to be fascinating to see how he threads the needle between the two of these and what outcome he gets with Second Life and how that metaverse is going to be different than the metaverses that are out there today. Next, let's talk about Decentraland. So Decentraland's crypto mana has taken a nosedive recently. It's not just mana. Actually, most of the crypto market has had a real big problem. Since the Fed is starting to increase their interest rate, we're going to see that these riskier currencies are going to have some issues for a little while until they balance back out. In the last week or two, we've seen over $1 trillion in market value loss here. But that hasn't slowed down companies like Samsung, who just made a big play inside Decentraland. They brought their iconic 837X store into Decentraland's metaverse, and while this isn't going to be around forever, it's offering these digital wearables and putting events on that are getting users involved and excited. So Decentraland is continuing to look very strong in the metaverse wars. Next, let's talk about the Sandbox. So in the midst of all this crypto crash news, we're still seeing that the Sandbox is pushing forward with opening a new area of their world for land purchases, which they're calling Mega City. So they've already acquired a lot of buy-in from a lot of Hong Kong film and entertainment moguls like Adrian Chang, Stephen Fung, and Shu Qi. We're currently seeing sales upwards of 1.9 million USD coming from the launch, so that's very healthy. They're making lots of money here. But that said, there's still no news on when the Sandbox is actually going to be usable for the general public. As far as I can tell, they've only ever had an alpha, so hopefully some news there soon. Next, let's talk about Apple. So Apple has yet to enter the metaverse, but they're definitely the one to watch right now. The Apple VR AR headset, when that's released, is likely to indicate their official entry into the competition for this market, but when that's going to happen is kind of anyone's guess. I mean, there's lots of leaks out there, most of them saying that there are overheating issues, problems with the camera, software issues, stuff like that. So it's likely to be delayed to 2023 at the earliest, but they've been working on this for a long time, so we'll just have to see what happens. What's interesting though for Apple is that their approach is a little bit different from the other players in the game here. Apple isn't looking at a metaverse as some totally immersive device that pulls people into fully functioning in that single digital space. Instead, they're treating it like a complement to everyday life. They don't see VR as taking over the world, but adding to it and enhancing it. So they've expressed interest in making a VR AR blended device that can be used for short periods of gaming and interaction, rather than that fully immersive environment that's been pushed by Facebook/Meta and some others. And all of that leaves a big question mark as to how businesses and marketers are going to be able to use any kind of an Appleverse device. Because without that immersion factor, in a lot of ways, it's just another wearable, okay? This isn't bad necessarily, but the interesting thing about a metaverse like Meta's or Decentraland's is that immersive factor. Having that immersion allows people to accept these placements and influences more easily easily than they would in some world-enhancing device with a heads-up display in it. But honestly, how the Apple device can benefit the business world is just conjecture at this point. We're gonna have to see how things play out in the long run. So there you go, that's all the news that you needed for your business this month. Let me know what you're most excited about in the metaverse this month, what things that you saw that were coming out that you're just super pumped about, or if there's anything that I missed that you really wanted to learn more about. Happy to talk to you about it in the comments. Otherwise, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you're into it, and I will catch you in the next one.